Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today's topic, my Filipino wife tells all, from marrying a foreigner to moving back to the Philippines. Stay tuned. So going through previous comments, I decided to create a series of questions that I can ask my wife. And this is a chance to introduce my wife to the channel.
Hi everyone! So this is gonna be my first time, or I would say debut, on my husband's channel. I'm Scott's wifey for 17 years. My name is Josie. I go with the name Joe.
And welcome to the channel, beautiful.
Thank you.
So my first question is about whether or not you ever wanted to meet a foreigner. So the question goes, when you were younger growing up in the province, did it ever cross your mind to marry a foreigner?
Oh no. So where I grew up, like I said, marrying a foreigner is not very popular compared to other places in the Philippines. So no, just like typical Filipina, you would like to meet the love of your life. Of course, gonna be a Filipino, build a family, and be with that person for the rest of your life.
Well, I'm kind of like you, where I never thought I was going to, go on a website and find someone from Southeast Asia. And when I went through my divorce, my mom told me that I should never marry another American girl. My mom is Spanish, and so she wanted me to marry a Spanish girl, and I didn't want to marry a Spanish girl. So I ended up finding cherry blossoms, and that's how I found my wife. Second question. What was going through your mind when you first joined Cherry Blossoms, and what stood out about me?
What was going through my mind when I joined Cherry Blossom? First and foremost, I never know anything about online dating and that kind of thing, but it was my cousin who introduced me to that website. So
Did she meet someone on a website?
she did met a few guys, but she's married to a Filipino.
Oh.
Yeah, so it didn't work. So, anyways, I registered not expecting anything. I just registered for the heck of registering because, she told me to register. Maybe I'm gonna meet someone. It's like, okay, so I registered, but I was not expecting anything. But then, I would say, I don't even know. I probably met a few guys here and there, but Scotty stood out for the very reason that we just click. So what does that mean? When I said we click, it's just like it's just there's a spontaneity or whatever you call it. So once we started talking, it's just like there's never a time wherein we don't have nothing to talk about. There's
Yeah, it
never
really
like a
did
pause.
flow.
Yeah, it's just like it's like we know each other for the rest of our lives. It's just so smooth. So we're just being each other, and I can talk about anything and everything. I would say I've never met anyone wherein I can freely say whatever I want to say. Let's
Right.
just put it that
But-
way.
and
And there are things that we cannot share.
Well, yeah, and I felt really comfortable because you got my goofy sense of humor,
Yeah.
and I was able to just really be myself,
Yeah.
and I wanted to do just that, is just be myself.
Definitely.
The third question: what was your first impression when we finally met in person? So I flew to Hong Kong, landed, came off the plane, and I remember you were standing to the left when I came out of customs.
Yeah. Well, the first time I met my husband, he was wearing this some kind of green or yellow green, but it's not super bright shirt. It's a short sleeve shirt that, by the way, I sent him. And he was carrying this guitar because he does plays the guitar and his backpack. So I told myself, it's like, oh my God. He gave me that look of like the pastor who's going to go preach somewhere. Like that's just God's
sing
honest
some gospel
truth.
songs.
Yeah. It's just like super tall, it's just like very white and bald.
Yeah, that was the first thing you noticed, right? Was the bald head.
Yeah, but anyway, it's just like, oh my God, this is the guy that I've been talking online. So I get obviously very excited. I'm gonna finally met him in person.
Could you tell I was shy when we first met?
Definitely, yeah. He is more shy than myself. I'm a little bit more spoken. But yeah.
When I first saw you, I thought, damn, she's prettier than she looks online.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Well, that was my pleasure. Just all right. Question number 4. What was your motivation in Hong Kong, and how did you balance everything?
So motivation going to Hong Kong. My son was maybe 1.5 year old when I left for overseas, and that's in Hong Kong to work as a nanny. So I took good care of two kids in Hong Kong. My main job there was to teach them English, in Hong Kong. So that's what I did. And the motivation behind that is just so that I can provide the best life that I can for my son because I'm a single mom. So it wasn't easy, but you have to do what you have to do. But that's the motivation behind it for
And
sure.
and that's one of the wonderful things I think about the Filipino culture is, or the Filipino culture is, the Filipinos' devotion to their family. I
Oh,
yeah,
definitely.
you just don't see it in other cultures like we do there.
Yeah.
You know, you were
Family is
saying home to
everything.
your
Yeah, yeah.
parents and your,
Yeah, yeah.
So looking back, what was the biggest adjustment being married to an American?
Well, being married to American, there's a lot of things. First and foremost, for someone who's been making her money for the longest time as a single mom, um, I was scared of the fact that I have to still depend on somebody else when it comes to financial, and that's not easy. Like I said, I was like, well, just imagine that asking him, so like, hey, I need to buy hair dryer or a
Right.
comb or a perfume or a makeup, you name it, what we need and stuff like that. So for me, that's one of the adjustments that I have to adjust on. And another thing is that obviously I don't know how the finances work over here in the U.S. So he has to make sure that he takes care of all that. So now I'm just a plain housewife, right? I have to clean, I have to, you name it. So for me, that's just a very huge adjustment, but that didn't take very long
All
for
right.
sure
Okay.
because I went back to work.
So when you got here, like you were just mentioning that it was hard to have to depend on me, and you're not the type of person that's just going to sit back. And you decided that you're going to go ahead and start looking for a job, and then you ended up creating a career of your own.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, how did that unfold for you? And what are you the most proud of?
Well, I always wanted to go back to work, right? But first and foremost, the first thing I have to do is learn how to drive. Because if you don't drive, it's very hard to go from one place to the next. The transportation system here in the US is just not as,
The public transportation.
yeah, the
Right,
public
yeah.
transportation is just not as convenient as it is in the Philippines,
Yeah.
or by far, very, very far from Hong Kong. Hong Kong is just so easy. You don't have to own a car. But here in the US, you have to own a car. So, yeah, that's the first thing that I had to tackle is to make sure that I know how to drive. And from there on, I started looking for a job from part time. I would say I worked for part time, give and take, 6 months?
Yeah.
And after 6 months, through hard work and dedication, they saw my skill sets, and I was offered the job as a startup leadership. So that was in Burlington.
Burlington
And
Northern.
Burlington Coat Factory.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
Burlington
yeah,
Coat Factory. So that's what I did. And after that, give and take a year or so, I moved to another company, and that's when I got offered the job of assistant store manager.
And that was with Sears.
That was with Sears.
Yeah.
And then again, this is all from having zero experience in retail. But again, this says so much about the United States, right? And I'll get back to why I went to Hong Kong for a little bit. So since we're talking about jobs and stuff like that. In the Philippines, most of us we go overseas to provide the best for our family. Just because it's very hard to land a job in the Philippines. In the Philippines, for you to be able to work in a mall, just to be a sales lady is what we call it. We call it sales associate here in the US. You have to be a degree holder, and you have to go through a lot of hoops to get the job. But here in the States, no, you don't need that, right? As long as through hard work and dedication, learn the ropes, and stuff like that. And in my case, I even have to research online on how to do my job and stuff like that.
So basically, you were self-taught.
Yeah, I'm very self-taught, and then again, hard work and dedication, stuff like that. I continued to pursue, and I became assistant store manager since 2012. From merchandising, I also did operations, which is my favorite position I held is operations. And until now, I still held that job.
So what were you the most proud of?
I'm most proud of the fact that there's a lot of things that I've only taught in my dreams growing up. This is a funny thing, but it's true. Growing up, I used to tell my dad that when I grow up, I'm gonna go to United States. I'm gonna be a lawyer. But I did not tell him I'm gonna marry an American, but for whatever reason, I'm gonna go to America and I'm gonna be a lawyer. That's what I used to tell him. And I'm gonna buy a very nice motorcycle. Well, guess what?
Well, you had said too that you wanted to have a convertible.
Yeah, and a convertible. So all those things I just like I would have accomplished, not knowing that I'm gonna marry a white guy, and that's what I did, and I worked very hard, and everything that I dreamed of, I have it. And maybe we can share a little bit more of those things that I dreamed for that I achieved while being in the United States on our other on the other segments of the blogs as my husband goes through. But I am most proud of for the fact that with everything my husband stood there for me. Working for retail is not very easy. I have a crazy schedule. Sometimes I work
True.
5 o'clock in the morning. I won't be home until 5 o'clock in the evening, or I go to work at 11 o'clock and I won't be home until 12 noon. So
12 midnight.
oh yeah, 12
Yeah,
midnight.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, if my husband is not this guy next to me, I probably don't have a husband anymore. Yeah, but he's so supportive all throughout my career, and I'm very proud of that. And there's a lot of things that I'm very proud of is the fact that we've done so much together as a team. Definitely.
And you got your convertible.
Yeah, well, he already said it. I thought we were not supposed to say that, but yes, I do
Okay.
have the convertible. This is my second, actually.
Next question. What was it like watching RJ grow into a successful man and now seeing little Serena in the picture?
Oh, I would say I'm very, very blessed. I really think that my son saw my sacrifices, how I worked very hard to give him the best life that he can ever have. And he reciprocated that by giving his best at the same time. It's just like he sees that I work very hard, and him growing with my mom and my dad, I think he saw that if you work very hard, it will pay off, and that's just what he exactly
Yeah.
did. Became very, very successful, very disciplined. He owns his business now. It's just
His own business,
it's
yeah.
such a pleasure to watch him, the way he brought himself to where he is right now.
And let me add something to that, because in some of the previous videos, there was mention that white guys, they end up having to take care of Filipina other men's children and stuff like that. And I just want to say that RJ, I have two sons that are biological, and I love RJ as much as I love any of my sons. He's a wonderful boy. He very smart. He's loving and caring, and I'm proud to be his father.
Yeah, and even our friends, actually, they used to say, it's just like, what a wonderful young man he is. He really is. He is very disciplined and very driven. He owns a business right now that's growing every year, and we supported him to the best that we can, but we just didn't give him money. Here it is. No, he started by selling chips.
Yeah, he did it
And
on
now,
his own.
yeah, and now he has a really, really good business online. Yeah.
All right. The next question. What was your first reaction when I started talking seriously about retiring in the Philippines?
Well, you talk a lot about it, and even with RJ that you're retiring, but I didn't really take it very seriously. I kept telling my husband, like, 5 more years, and like every year, 5 more years, just the same thing as I always joke around with him. Every anniversary is like, okay, you're gonna get another 5 years. So that's a joke too when it comes to him retiring. And oh man, this year it really hit it. It's like, oh, we are retiring. Oh shit. So what now? But even if that's the case, we actually planned that we will go home this January, and I'll stay with him for 3 weeks. We will
Right.
and we'll settle him over there, and then he will build the house while I work here until mid next year.
Yeah, so basically what we're going to do was we bought some land in Bagabag, and we want to build a home there. So we were going to go there in January, and she was going to help me get set up in an apartment and go visit family, and then she was going to fly back home, and I would stay nearby, and I would go back to the home site and be a part of the build.
Yeah.
And that's what our first plan was.
Yeah.
But I'm actually glad that we decided to do it together, because there's so many decisions that are easier to make when we're together, especially when it comes to the home build.
Yeah, well, and finally, how long ago was that? Just recently, last month?
Yeah, just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago or so, we sat and we reevaluate everything because reality is, I don't know what it is, but I do know that if I will come back, I'll keep planning more and more and more and more and more. You know, I think it's human nature. We always want more when we know that we can achieve those kind of things. And I know I can because what I do, I pray pretty good. So I know that once I achieve one thing, I'm gonna get another one, another one, another one, and I will never go back to the Philippines and retire with my husband. And that is not the goal.
Well,
It's just like,
especially I only have, I'm 66 years old.
yeah, I'm 48.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, like we were saying, we sat and we evaluate everything. At the end of the day, we always choose each other. You know, it's just like our marriage comes first and everything else second. You know, so that's where we end up, and we
So-
decided that we were gonna go home together.
Yeah, that's great too.
Yeah.
And the next question is, now that it's real, because it kind of ties into this last question.
Yeah.
Is now that it's real, how do you feel about leaving your job and your life in the U.S., which means, RJ and Serena?
Well, if there's one thing about myself, I would say once I set myself into something, then I'll laser focus on that thing. So when we sat with my husband and we talk about we have to go home together, and just then I look on my finances. Where am I with 401 my 401k? Where am I with my stocks? Because I do invest my money. I am very wise when it comes to my money. That's one thing I'm very proud of, and you can attest to that.
Yes, real good.
I'm
yeah.
very good with our
And
finances.
RJ picked that up from you, I'd say. Too.
Yeah. Finances, I think I'm better with finances than you do.
Oh,
I'm just
sure. See how
kidding.
that goes?
But anyways, yeah, once I look on those kind of things, then I decided like, yes, we're gonna go home together. And then of course I have to also consider leaving my son behind.
Yeah.
But
It's hard for both of us, actually, to say goodbye and to know that we're not going to be in their lives, every week and so on. It is an adjustment.
yeah, it's hard, but what makes it easier is we know that no matter what, he's very well established. He has a home. He's at 28 years old. He has a home. He has a business he's running. He has a wonderful wife that he will take good care of him and our granddaughter. And on top of that, I can always come back anytime. And my son also told me, it's like, hey, I have a lot of points with my American Express business credit card. I'll buy you whenever, So
And we're
things
going to take
like-
advantage of that.
yeah, of course, right. And by the way, he already promises getting us that plane ticket going to the Philippines.
Well,
He's such a generous kid.
Or I want premium economy because I got these long legs. I'm 6'4", and I wanted to be as comfortable as I could.
Yeah.
And so he said he's going to hook us up. So
Yeah.
that's my son.
But just putting it out there, we never ask nothing from my son. That's not the parents that we are. Just like if anything, we're here to support them. We never ask for
That's right.
anything.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, he's such a very generous, kind, thoughtful
He really is.
son of
Yeah,
ours.
yeah.
He's a great kid. But not only that, flying here and there, we also have the FaceTime now. So that's gonna make life a little bit easier. Like
Sure.
I said, I mean, we had a long distance relationship, not very long.
11 months.
Yeah, oh my God,
It was.
that was pretty.
Because that's how long it
quick.
took for me to get you petitioned here, was 11
You're right.
months. Yeah.
He didn't waste no time. Yeah,
No, I
I
didn't.
met him. He came and visited me in Hong Kong. But seriously, yeah. So when you click, you click. When you know, you know. You don't even have to think. When he asked me to marry him, I didn't even think twice about it.
And again, that's another video on how I asked her to marry you. I'll share that.
That
with
was
you
pretty
sometime.
interesting, by
Yeah.
the way. Yeah,
All
my
right.
forever thoughtful husband.
All right, number 10. What are you the most excited about, and what are you the most nervous about when it comes to moving back home?
First is the excitement. I'm very excited to finally embark to a different stage of our life.
Yeah.
It's just like, is it scary or definitely? It's always scary of the unknown, right? It's like I always tell you, it's just like if there's one thing that stops a lot of us from moving forward or pursuing our dreams is because we overthink.
Yeah.
We overthink of the unknown and it scares us. That's why not all of us starts a business because it scares the shit out of us of what's the unknown, right? So to answer to your question, that's what I'm scared of, is what's the unknown. I'm a little bit worried about that. Not only that, so it's like I'll have to readjust myself again to fully depend on my husband because yeah, I do have money invested, but I'm not touching those.
Right.
So I'm gonna be fully dependent on you, So whatever he brings home from his social security, that's what we're gonna live off.
Right.
So that's gonna be an adjustment that I'm willing to take. Like I said, he always take good care of me, and I know he will always will. And the excitement is, like I said, the freedom to do whatever we want. Finally, the phone is not ringing, always people asking us, hey, what to do, X, Y, Z, how
We just
we're
did
gonna
that today.
proceed. Yeah.
Here's your day off, and your phone. You had to answer how many phone calls from
Probably
work?
4.
Yeah. So yeah.
But by the way, I'm not complaining. It's part of the job.
I do the complaining on that.
He probably does, but I don't. I'm used to it. I've been doing this for so long.
Yeah.
But we're just saying, explaining what are the things that we're excited about,
Yeah.
because it is exciting when you finally have your own peace.
And the chance to travel, like to Taiwan, to Cambodia, to go
Neighboring
to,
countries of
all
the
the
Philippines,
neighboring-
definitely.
and even the different places in the Philippines,
Yeah, of
the
course.
different islands. And stuff.
Yeah, and the beauty of that, we'll go whenever we want. Do you know
Yeah.
why? Because we don't have to request a time off.
That's right. Yeah.
We own our time. I
That's
think
it.
that's the
Yeah.
best time. And the best thing about that too is we can always get the best deals on flights, on vacation time, because once again, we own our time. We can travel anytime.
Yeah.
And by the way, when it comes to travel, right here, I'm very good with that. I plan our traveling, and I'm really, really good at it.
She's
I
a
should make a
planner.
business out of it.
Yeah, she's definitely a planner. Okay,
Yeah.
last question. If you could give advice to other Filipinas thinking about marrying a foreigner, what would it be?
Number one and foremost is just be yourself. Just be real. Don't
Yeah.
try to fit in to the box where they're putting you into. Because if you do, it's not gonna work. Because no matter how you pretend to fit in, once you're together, the real you always gonna come out, and he might not like you.
Yeah, always be
Be-
honest.
Yeah, because that's not the person that he met. So if anything, just be yourself. Believe me, it will work. That's the most important thing. And always try to preserve your values. It is important.
Yeah, because that's one of the reasons that we look for a Filipina is the values that you have in your culture.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You know how much I care about family, and stuff like that. I'm huge on that.
Well, babe, that was the last question. So thank you for coming.
That's
to the
it?
channel. That was it. So thank you for coming to the channel.
My
and
pleasure.
and if you guys got anything out of this, please hit like and subscribe and add anything to the comment section if you have anything to say.
Yes, so if you guys have any more questions for me, I will gladly answer. So if you guys will just gonna add it in the comments below, and if you're gonna guys give us a thumbs up and subscribe, I'm pretty sure that will help us a lot for sure. To share more things and a lot of things that you might want to know.
Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.